Hello and welcome to another edition of the Headless Hammerhead Guide to Comic Books. Today it's very exciting. It's the beginning of my campaign. We were able to play our first adventure and we will be discussing that and going through it. It's called An Ominous Arrival. And the background is in a prior video. Basically, we're using some pre-generated characters just to test out the system and see how it goes. Since the game didn't come with a test adventure, it might be difficult to, once we start the actual campaign with pre-generated characters, to gauge how to properly create an adventure that would suit them and wouldn't be too difficult or too easy. And I'm really glad that we did this because we learned quite a bit. So the basic gist is somebody has taken over the airport and the heroes have arrived to see what is going on. So I'm going to read the intro. Misfortune, tragedy, villainy. Answering a call from the power posse to thwart of rising crime in the city, the heroes have been instructed to divert their attention to another threat from an unknown assailant. Now they have arrived at LaGuardia International Airport in New York to help save the people from the wickedness within. The heroes, each from a different part of the country, each from a different supergroup, will join forces and return to Cranham campus, where they would hold interviews for a military force to be named Prestige Platoon. The platoon's mission: utilize state-of-the-art weaponry and technology to handle the incessant attacks and destruction from the new gangs of New York. For now, the only thought in our heroes' minds are on who the mystery assailant may be and what their agenda is for terrorizing the facility. Our heroes stand outside the entryway of arrivals, just outside the baggage claim section of the airport. They've made their plan, and Rocket Raccoon makes his move. He swings over to the window on the side of the entrance, enters into the cafe, and finds two women on the floor cowering in the dark. "Please don't hurt us," they say. He tells them he's here to rescue them, but makes sure to take their jewelry before he releases them. They quickly run outside, tears in their eyes, and Rocket Raccoon positions himself, prepared for whatever may come next. The rest of the heroes, Psylocke moves in and does a psychic attack to one of the goons, bringing him to his knees. She signals for the others to enter before the two goons near the entrance are able to react. Blade rushes in and swings at one of the goons. Wolverine gets ready to dash in as well. Meanwhile, War Machine swings around to the baggage conveyor that leads from the plane to the inside of the airport's baggage claim. He prepares to climb up through that conveyor belt. As we see the airport terminal, the baggage claim is full of people, hostages, and goons. Now, it is time for Wolverine to make his move. He rushes in and attacks the goons, while Blade keeps swinging his swords and whips out his gun to shoot at any other goons that may be coming his way. They notice the goons are Chinese, a hint to who the leader might be, and Blade says, "Ever play relay? Always bet on black." After his strike, Blade sees the hostages and continues moving towards the hostages. Meanwhile, Rocket Raccoon positions himself at the top of the half wall that created the cafe, and Psylocke moves closer to the next goon, who's holding a hostage by the throat. Psylocke hits him with a psychic strike, knocking him unconscious. Blade continues to move, and Wolverine follows as they try to rescue as many people they can. Meanwhile, on the other side of the airport, War Machine climbs up through the conveyor belt and assesses the situation as he positions himself to take down any aggressors. He finds himself surrounded by three goons who all fire their guns at him, and two of the bullets ricochet off of his armor, striking two of the hostages straight through the head. War Machine is distraught, but he's determined to take down these goons. Suddenly, a cloud of mist, vapor, begins to fill the entire airport area. Nobody can see anything. This this has created a problem for our heroes. Because of the vapors, the heroes are unaware of a man who stands in a black suit on top of the conveyor belt, his shoulder-length obsidian hair tied neatly in a ponytail. He raises his chin and cackles, forcing his hand into a fist, exposing rings in each hand. Rings that suddenly glow in a rainbow of colors as he slowly raises his hand to make a muscle. Careful inspection reveals rings on each of his fingers on his other hand as well. Then the echo across the entire room as he speaks. Fools! I am a hero in my country. I take pride in helping those in need and felt it was necessary to offer my services and technology as a technology dealer for the Power Posse to equip them and their new prestige platoon with my advanced weapons and armor. The new Chinese Transportation Authority refused to allow me to take my rings on the flight as they knew them to be weapons. The man smirks and looks off to the side and continues to speak. I knew it would go awry when we arrived and noticed it was Americans who would unload the plane. I shrugged it off, but after waiting an hour and 45 minutes for my baggage to come through that belt, he points to the conveyor and his rings glow again, this time releasing a stream of flames and setting the belt behind him on fire. He harumphs to himself. They lost my bag, but luckily I was able to recover it quickly before some thugs stole it from the other belt. Your pathetic American manure scrapers caused all of this. It is they you should be attacking, but no matter. Your time as heroes has come to an end. You shall kneel before your lord and master, the Mandarin of all the people. The fire on the conveyor belt sets off the sprinkler system, causing a rain inside of the entire building. And Rocket Raccoon and Psylocke get together and begin to formulate a plan. Rocket Raccoon fires at a pipe, causing a jet of steam that clears some of the fog, while Psylocke positions herself and makes an ESP connection with everybody in the terminal. This helps her to determine of the hostages and the goons. She also connects with her team to make sure that they are fully aware of everything that she knows as well. So quick side note here, this was a great moment to award Karma for a great idea that actually gave the heroes a huge advantage. I had awarded Karma during the entire adventure for great role-playing, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, and also for great ideas, and this was one of those moments. Meanwhile, Blade focused on freeing more and more of the hostages, so he made his move, taking out goons and freeing hostages as he went. And Wolverine decided he'd had enough. He started to run through the fog, trying to reach Psylocke because he had a plan. He was annoyed and made a mad dash in Psylocke's direction. Meanwhile, the Mandarin made a psychic attack against Psylocke, taking half of her will to fight. Always the pilferer, Rocket decided to continue robbing any person that he tripped over who was unconscious or not, while at the same time trying to save the people. Wolverine, wet and angry, continued his charge even as he tripped over people and bumped into structures. Psylocke then positioned herself to complete the plan with Wolverine. Suddenly, something strange happened. The Mandarin appeared next to each of the heroes. Was this an illusion? Using her telepathic abilities, Psylocke was able to determine that they were all illusions, and the real Mandarin was still standing on top of the conveyor belt. At this point, War Machine decided this was it. He launched his boosters and jetted over straight towards the Mandarin, but missed and landed flat on his face. The Mandarin laughed and hit him with a paralyzing punch. He called out to Psylocke, "Psylocke, fastball special!" harking back to the days where he and Colossus won entire battles with this one maneuver. The two mutants positioned themselves and prepared for the launch. Psylocke picked up Wolverine and threw him with all her might, using some of her telekinetic ability to boost her strength. She hurled him, and he landed right inside of one of the goons, slicing him dead. Then Wolverine rushed straight to the Mandarin and impaled him with his claw. In one fell swoop, he had the Mandarin dead to rights. Under the pulsing purple lights of the first responders, the hostages were taken to the ambulances to have their wounds treated. The goons who survived were arrested, and those who were killed, including the Mandarin, were carted off in secure ambulances, but not before Rocket robbed their corpses of all valuables. Yeah. The hostages were happy to be free of this harrowing experience, but not the heroes. It was later found that the ambulance carrying the Mandarin never reached its destination. The heroes later reconvened with the Power Posse and Teenage Rage to begin their search for qualified human candidates to join the Prestige Platoon. So there you have it, the first adventure, and it went really, really well. Everybody had a blast. Overall, I think it was really positive. The heroes, being rank 4, they had lots of powers, abilities, and maneuvers. So they were able to do a lot of things with their characters. It was a little overwhelming at first because it's a new game, and dealing with so many powers and traits can get overwhelming, keeping track of all the things that your hero can do. So that's why I think a new group to the game should start all of their characters at rank 1, at least for a couple of adventures, maybe some one-shots, just to get used to the mechanics, because it can get really overwhelming.
Little girl.
The
little girl.
Players really got into the role-playing part of it. It's very different than other role-playing games where because there's so many dice rolls, battles become just a routine. So you're facing an owlbear, and okay, I'm gonna hit him with my sword. All right, roll a hit. All right, 20. All right, roll your damage, 15. All right, next, wizard, what are you doing? Okay, magic missile. All right, roll your damage, 4 dice. Here it was very different. The players got really into it, and they described all of their moves each time. Rocket Raccoon rolls in on the ground and then leaps up in the air and does a flip in midair to land, aims his gun and fires at the bad guy, aiming for his shoulder, and things like that. Blade was wisecracking the entire time. It was a lot of fun and just so different, especially I think because of the karma aspect of it. Being able to, this whole mechanic of karma is really great. I'm glad they brought it in from the old 90s version of the game, because you can reward the players and for good role playing, and they really get into it. They want that karma, but at the same time they realize they're having a lot of fun as a result. But on the downside of it, I think villains need another way of earning karma as well, other than monologuing and doing heroic acts, because the villain fight, it literally was one shot. That's the other thing. Even at rank 5 for the Mandarin and ranks 3 and 4 for the heroes, the health doesn't change. Some heroes can start at level 1 with 90 health and stay with 90 health through 6 ranks, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense. They should be able to take more hits, and because they are hitting harder, they're getting more powers as they rank up. So at rank 4, these heroes could hit really, really hard, and so could the Mandarin. He almost took out War Machine with one shot. He almost took out Psylocke with one shot, and then Wolverine actually took out the Mandarin with one shot. So this is something that really needs to be fixed. I think giving more opportunities for karma to the villains could help, because they could just recover HP on the spot, spending some karma and things like that. I think 6 ranks also for leveling up, because so many heroes just don't make sense, like Blade at 4 and Iceman at 4 and others that just don't make sense at some of these ranks. I think 10 ranks would have been better for them to do. Maybe it's something they can change in the future. I don't know. I just don't like that 6 ranks. Just doesn't seem like enough. And also, players like advancement, and I think that's something for them to look forward to. So for us, we're doing a house rule, earning a lot of karma. They're able to carry it over even after a night's rest, not have it reset after a night's rest the way it says in the rule book. I want to do it more like the 90s version of the game, because the karma allows your character to do feats and do other things that they normally wouldn't be able to do. And as they accumulate karma, that's kind of like leveling up. It's giving them more powers and more abilities to do things with it. Also, the health of bosses really needs to be adjusted. At 90 health, one hit from Wolverine took out the Mandarin, who is a rank higher, and it just didn't make any sense. And the Mandarin has a lot of really good abilities that make him formidable in hand-to-hand melee combat, but he still wasn't able to handle the shot from Wolverine. So I think when you create your adventures, take this into account. If you have one main villain and a bunch of heroes, add more health to that villain, because especially if you have 5 heroes hitting at you in one shot, it'll end in one round, guaranteed. Another great thing I found on this game is that, yeah, a lot of players use Discord. A lot of game masters use Discord for their games to communicate with players and all those sort of thing. But here, it adds even more dimension to it if you do this, because you're able to create a Discord channel where you put in all of the information, all the heroes, villains. You can have a chapter for or a page for each adventure, for each session, do a session summaries. And the reason I say it's better with this game than with other tabletop RPGs is that because it is comic books, it is very art heavy. So we use some AI generated images, and you can use Midjourney right there through Discord and generate a bunch of really cool images to supplement your summaries. And so I created a page where they have their heroes, their villains, allies and stuff, but I also created a page for of course, each chapter I called them issues. So issue 1 is going to be the first chapter after this prologue that we just played. But also I created a page for action panels, where we're going to add panels of action of each adventure. So you see here the entire adventure, all the pictures I used in this video came from this. I created panels for some of the main instances during the actual battle. So I think I really recommend that you use Discord. I also shared some of the character sheets there before anybody was able to get the book, because I had the book early. I was able to send everybody character sheets for pre-generated characters so they could choose them for this one shot. And thus ends another edition of the Headless Hammerhead Guide to Comic Books. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. I try to create content a couple of times a week, and I was the first to do a full review of the core rulebook, and I also did the first adventure, I believe, because the book doesn't come with an adventure. I think most of the people who've gotten the book haven't even had time to create a first adventure, especially since it doesn't really give you instructions on how to do it here in the core rulebook. It makes it very, very difficult. But because I had the book early, I was able to review the whole book several times and craft an adventure, test it with myself a little bit, and then play it with my players within 5 days of the book being released, which is great. So make sure to subscribe, because we have a giveaway coming soon. I'm going to be giving away some really, really good stuff. I'm gaining subscribers pretty quickly. I'm not at 100 yet, but when I get to 200 or 250, I'm going to give away something really nice. Email me with any questions, headlesshammerhead@gmail.com, and be sure to follow the links in my other videos to download a free narrator screen. And also I created a random character generator table that you can download. It looks really nice. I spent a lot of time on it, and I think you'll enjoy it. All right, so thank you very much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. And remember,
we don't bite here.